Well, for those of you that know, and for those of you that don't know, over here is my old Play-Doh solder pot. Now I was using this the other day to do some input transformers, and I had nothing but problems with this thing. The temperature probe that goes into the crucible here decided to shit the bucket, and when I took it apart to check the probe, the voltage regulator went out in it. Well, really all that we need is the heating element and some kind of voltage divider, like a variable tap transformer, also known as a variac. Well, I installed a variac in the back, a little tiny variac in the back. Well, I don't have a big enough amp micro variac to make this work. So, instead of dicking around with this thing, because I'm kind of over it and a little bit pissed at it, I wanted to go the other direction with it. So what I've done is I went out and I bought myself an American Beauty. These things are an international staple of yumminess and loveliness and reliability. This one's got a little bit of rust, and it needs a little bit of love. But that's okay, it's in the right place for that. So I'm going to take it all apart, I'm going to clean it up, probably put maybe 30 or 40 minutes worth of work into it, and I think I'm going to take you guys along for the ride. But before we do anything else, we got to make sure it works. Well, it's pulling 5 amps worth of shmoo. And this is the 600 watt version, so I should be able to get pretty close to 700 degrees in here if I need it, but really about 500 is what I'm looking for. So let's pull the power cable off of it. I want to take this all apart and get it all cleaned up. And oh yeah, I can feel it's warm already. Woo, love it. Got to drain the lead out of it, and I've got to pull the nut out of the center. What sits in the center of this, if you don't know, a lot of you guys do, because, well, especially most of my guys on Patreon, when I put up a thing about how my solder pot took a shit and I was really pissed at it, they said, man, just buy an American Beauty and be over it. You see how much one of these costs new? And how much that Play-Doh pot cost? A Play-Doh pot was like $1,000-something bucks, right? Picked this up for a song and a dance. So I'm going to clean this up. We're going to make it look pretty. That, and this thing has got a much larger orifice. Anyhow. Heat up, pull the ammonium solder out of there, because I don't know what its makeup is. If it's 60-40 or pure lead or what it is. We're going to remove that. We're going to remove this nut, but for those of you that don't know, pardon me, back on topic, there is a rod that sticks down in here, and it folds over at like a 90-degree angle, and it's got a little wiper, little flat wiper, and you can grab onto this little handle that's out here, and you can go, and you can push all the dross, all the crud that sits on top, all the impurities that sits on top of the solder, and push it to one side and bloop, do your little dip. Well, this one doesn't have the wiper. It's okay. I don't need it for that. I need it for its depth, and I need it for its orifice opening. I know. I hear you guys out there. I can hear you guys. BBI, why didn't you buy the 2-liter version? It's got an opening that's like this big. You all know why. This will easily do the job that I needed to do. So I just want to clean it up, make it look pretty. So first things first, I want to label what this stuff is. I want to take the cord off, clean the cord up, because it looks like this thing was stored in some freaking meth head's back room. So we'll pull this off. We're going to mark these 2 cables. This is white, these are going to be black. We'll pull the base off it, go sand the base up, get all the rust off it, then we're going to spray it down with some new pretty red paint. Take the knob off, probably tape off the American Beauty thing, and we're going to very carefully, after we wire brush all the rust off of it, we're going to shoot it with some crinkle paint, high temp crinkle paint, and then we'll be back here. $6 million question is that asbestos or is that fiberglass? And I'm going to continue to tell myself it's fiberglass. So let me squirt some red paint on the base. We got all the flux and all the old solder and all that stuff off, and we basically got it down to its cast. Went around and knocked most of the rust off of this. We're going to shoot it with some new high temp black crinkle. Clean the face of the knob off, just to, you know, the badge. Clean it, but I want to leave it with its patina. You know what I mean? We're just cleaning it up, making it a little bit more visually acceptable. It's like I went and I polished the solder off this edge, right? What good's it do anybody? Nothing. What's it make me feel good about? Everything. Wow, those are both loose. And there are screws for those to be set in there. Those are the heating elements that I was just flicking back and forth with my finger here. Let's get some paint going. And because of this, I'm going to be blowing red boogers for the next 3 days. For the record, them things are friggin' awesome. And I also wanted to document this. This is like the first eyelet I've put on in probably 7 years that I'm not going to solder, crimp and solder. Got to thinking about it and I'm like, you know, it's probably a bad move on my part if I solder this, because it's just gonna run out of there like pee anyhow. There we go. Because where it attaches to is a screw that goes right on the bottom side of the heating element. I went to tighten these down. I didn't want to go too tight with them. I just want to make them so they were a little bit more snug. They weren't slipping around so much. This honestly looks like a little variable carbon pile of some kind. It's not showing any variable resistance. So it's got to be either that. You know what that could be? I bet you that this is a heat activated piece of metal that's in here, like a thermocouple. I bet money that's what this is. And the more pressure you put on it, the longer it's going to stay active. And so when it gets to a certain temperature, it goes bloop, and it disconnects. And that's how we can do the variable temperature. God, it's brilliant. So it's on or it's off. And as soon as the pot cools down, let's say maybe this has got like a 20-degree temperature variant, cools down, bloop, it'll kick back in, heat back up, metal will deform, bloop, bend out of the way, cut off. Freaking smart. I'm holding on to the slightly dirty but still in very good shape, except for this little bit of the plug. It was all cracked and fuckered. I mean, come on. 1970s rubber at its best. Cloth wrapped, string reinforced power wire. Hey, just because it's old doesn't mean it's bad. And I think that's been completely lost on my generation. We have turned into a bunch of throwaway children. Oh, it's broke. I'm going to throw it away. I'll just buy me a new one. Man, F on all that. This pot's older than me, and probably my daughter's grandchild is going to have to figure out what the hell to do with this thing. And it's still going to be running. You know what I mean? I don't know why I polished this bottom plate, other than it was filthy. Ain't nobody gonna ever see it. But I'll know. Okay. Looks pretty good. Found a little wet spot in the paint. I did. All right. So, we'll figure that's 100%. Oh yeah, there's the keyway right there. So yeah, that is 100%. Okay. Well, away we go. Let me get the board. Looks great compared to what it was. That took about 40 minutes. All right, well, that's a giant sit and wait game. Sit, wait, but don't spin. Let this warm up. We're gonna pull this clump of shit out of here. And we're going to see what we got to do to get that out. We're close. Let's get out our gloves for welding stick. So I don't want to burn my fleshy bits. Grab my piece of copper I use for dross on this deal. And I just shot it with the temp gun. It was right around 300 degrees. Yep. Perfect. Not hot. Not stupid hot. Beauty. Okay. So if this makes it on camera, that means I didn't screw this up. If you guys don't see this on camera, it means I effed up. So okay. Shot number one. We're going to qualify as screwing up his BBI burning himself, okay? We'll just say that that's the standard to which we're shooting for here today. So are you threaded in? What's going on here? Sure looks threaded into me. I gotta pull that rod out. Remember, that's my goal. Rod must cometh. It's about a 5/8, I do believe. That makes me friggin' happy as hell. And I already know that doesn't vent out the bottom. So, guess what? This video segment stays in. Yay! Okay. Let's go over here to the getting spot. Let's grab me a couple Kester bars. And honestly, I'm doing this because I don't know what that other solder is. I don't know if it's tin based. I don't know what's in it. I don't know if it's 100% lead, or this is a 60-40 mix and I know what I got. So I guess if I wanted to, I could over time slowly work that thing, that can full of lead back into the equation, but I'd rather stick with what I know and I know I can trust. This is like a recipe for disaster with me. Woo! Hot melting molten lead. Woo! Let's have fun. Next thing you know, burn my hand off. My wife's like, what are you doing out there? And I'm like, you don't want to know. Straight up. In, out. I wasn't giving up no secrets. When you think about it, this is actually really quite brilliant the way this is all built, put together. No electronics for the most part. No real moving parts. Just good old-fashioned American engineering, you know? Well, the can said it was rated to 500 degree paint. I mean, come on. Well, shit. I mean, those are two. Each element probably gets up to about 300 degrees. I'd say they're both probably 150 watt elements. Or 300 watt elements, I mean, a piece. It's freaking cool. So that means that probably each element gets up to maybe 7 and some change depending on the voltage coming in. I'm stoked. I really can't describe to you. I'm kind of glad that the pot broke because the opening on the top was a little tight, especially for doing the big output transformers, you know. For this, I got plenty of room. Plenty of room. Okay, well, enough of this. Let me get this thing filled back up, and I'll be back. Well, I'll take that. It's 414 degrees, and I got it set at 400 here, so I don't have to go and insert it into the video. Let's see how far off we are from 500. So it just went click, which means it got hot enough that little piece of, I think they call it bimetal. Just went dink. Just quit making contact. Let's see where we're at with temperature. 480, 481. Man, I'll take 481 when it's set at 500, and I'll call that a win. Man, that's freaking awesome. I don't ever want it to get much hotter than what it is right now. Wow, that's something I've never seen before. Huh. Well, shoot. Let's reboot. Let's give this a minute. Let's see where this levels out at. $517, $525. Let's wait. I'm kind of curious what's causing it to bubble. I'll do it again. Watch. Might be a little bit of shmoo at the bottom of the pot that's breaking down, and it's slowly working its way through the solder. Let's give it about 10 more minutes. I want to see where the heat actually tops out, or if it tops out, if this is actually physically working correctly. $536 and stable. It's not climbing, not falling. So I think we finally have reached our equilibrium. And I honestly think what's happening is the lead's boiling. So let's... if I put this at 400, that means it's going to be at about 432. I'll set it there. All right, let's see if it cools down. And when it cools down, where it catches at. So 536. And let's see where it drops down to. 489 and dropping. And I'm looking at this gauge over here because that's the maximum temperature the probe can see. So 482. It's just a fairly large slug of metal. And I don't want to push the iron too hard to like heat up and then cool right off again. I feel it would be hard on the elements, so let's just watch it. Well, I think I'm ready to declare a win here. It's about 460. I guess not. Let's drop it down to 400. It just jumped up a couple degrees. I just want to make sure that this is working. The thermal control is working. Some exorbitant time later. 437, 436. I've got this cranked down as low as it goes. Call it a win. It's working. It's working. Win. Gentlemen, big thanks to my Patreons always. Thanks, guys. Big shout out to every single one of you guys that's watching. And, of course, as always, Siglent, XS, Bird, Coaxial Dynamics. But I'm going to call this a win. This is an eBay score, and I am grateful. I think this is kick-ass. So let this cool down. I'm going to get it off the workbench and off to go work on this beautiful Henry. I appreciate you all watching. Have a good one. We'll see ya. Bye.